Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Soul Granny Soul for Wacky Wednesday. So on most of our Wacky Wednesdays, we are creating something. We're whacking up some fabric and we're making something out of it. Today, we are going to clean up our fabric. Quite a bit of fabric piling up in my basket, which is anything less than a yard. Basket gets full, it's time to organize it. As you can see, the different fabrics that have accumulated, and we'll go ahead and get those processed. So these are all of our fabrics that I have left to turn into fat quarters. So I'm going to show you how we cut a fat quarter. It needs to be 18 wide and 22 long. So then you're just going to take the two separate pieces. You're going to fold it in half the long ways. So then I just fold it a smaller third on this one and then fold it over. And it's about 6 inches this way. And there you have it. There's your first fat quarter. I order my fabrics in many different ways at many different places. So I like to shop on the Facebook Sewing for Sale groups, which can be seen here. These are the two top ones. Selling My Sewing Supplies and Fabric Destash, Original Fabric Destash, are the two I most frequent. You can get an abundance of fabric for half price and less even sometimes. As you can see, these are the fat quarters I just ordered in. These are all designer brands. And they range anywhere from, these ones all went for $1.50 a fat quarter. New, these are over $3 a fat quarter. So that was less than half price. I also just shopped on the Original Fabric Destasher recently, and I purchased these items. Plus more, but you can see in those that the fabric, even per the yardage, is very, very reasonable. I've seen it go as low as $1 a yard, and so you can get different pieces in. I did cut one fat quarter out of this already. Some that are a half a yard, which is 18 by the width of fabric, which is usually anywhere from 40 to 44. So if it's 18 by 44, you can get two fat quarters out of that, and you might pay 75 cents to $1.50 for that. So you're paying for one fat quarter, get one free, basically. So one of the times I went shopping, I got a bunch of quilt squares in an order. I had bought a bunch of fabric from a lady, and they're just random. And it's actually not squares. They were excess of what she had left over. They just happen to be in the square form. So I need to go through and I need to tidy these up and make sure they fit into one of my squares. So purchased 10-inch layer cakes. Made 10-inch squares. Already made quill blocks. 9 and 8-inch squares. 6 and 6.5-inch squares, 5 and 5.5-inch squares, 4 and 4.5-inch squares. The ones I most frequently use. I have, out of all the projects, over 30 projects this year, I have utilized 7-inch squares one time, total out of all the quilts. So I tend not to cut that size, but I do the 9-inch and the 9.5, or I'm sorry, the 9 and the 8-inch, and I use my 9.5-inch square. And I start off with all my fabrics. Once I get the fat quarter size done, I start off with going the biggest to the smallest. So I'll put it on here and see if I can get, this one I obviously can, but then I'll try for the 10 by 10, under the 9-inch, and then the 8-inch, and so forth. There's so many different projects that you can do with your excess fabric. Here's a picture of several projects we've done, that it's worth it to save every little bit you can. When it gets down to less than an inch, then it's not going to do you a whole lot of good. You can't sew on it no more. That's how I get my squares and why I get my squares. They work great for making your crazy quilts, or even if you just take out some colors. These are the 6.5, and I do have some left of a project I've done that were bought in. I ordered those online. On eBay, actually. A lady sells fabric on there, and those are all designer fabrics. But then I have many different ones that I've cut out myself. Say you are making a Christmas quilt and you need some greens, just go through and pick out your greens out of whatever size you're using. And that works really good to have those extra little ones. versus cutting up a full yardage for it. 8-inch. You can always take your 4.5. You won't be able to utilize the 4 because 2 of them equals that exactly, and you need seam allowance. So taking your 4.5, and you can just pair it up. So then you just throw those two together, and you can just, do that, and then maybe another square, and mix and match it, and it can form a pattern. So you can turn these, once you get them sewed together, you can turn them different directions and put them together. So just some ideas of what you can use all these random blocks for once you have them all cut out. But it's a really good way to use up all your scrap fabrics that way, so they don't just sit there and accumulate over time. Another thing you can do is, if you don't want to cut them out, these are some really pretty fabrics, but they're small in size, and I ordered them because they were just scraps that I purchased on a for sale group. Um, so you could actually just frame them in. You could take some of this and frame it in with some black and make a stained glass window, wall hanging, or quilt, or whatever you want to make out of it. But I prefer the homespun when I'm making rag quilts. And we will be doing a video shortly on rag quilts of how to make those. I really like the rag quilts. They're great for babies. They just get better and better with time. They never wear out, basically. I shouldn't say never. I'm sure they would eventually. So that's a little bit about the homespun. So I just keep them all separate in their own container. That way when I'm going to make one, I can just pick from the ones I got there. And then, like, these I got to make an actual watermelon in the middle of a summer quilt. So those ones I keep separate. My specialty ones, kind of like using in my Christmas fabrics and my St. Patrick's Day fabrics. My husband's big into St. Patrick's Day fabrics. I keep those separate. So when I go to make a project with that stuff, I got that. So these are all fabrics that I purchased to do. I really like Lori Holt. I like her different quilts and stuff. We'll be making a butterfly quilt here shortly. I don't like the prices of Lori Holt fabric. Once again, you're getting into designer fabrics and so forth, and I cannot keep up with that. So I just get random ones that look nice together. Not so much that one, but fabrics like that. So normally on these ones, I would, because they are selvage to selvage, I would just cut my 2.5-inch strips. But because I am doing that quilt, I'm just going to hang on to these for a while. I will cut this one up. So recall the gray and yellow quilt we did from the 2.5-inch strips that I had cut prior to that when I was cutting up fabric before. So I've gotten through most of my stash. This is what I have left. 24 inches or longer. I'm going to go ahead and put on cardboard rectangles, I guess they are, and save those with my yard and more. So I'm going to go ahead and wind that up on the cardboard and put those in the cabinet to keep those as well. That is all I do to organize my fabric. That way when I'm looking for something, I know exactly where to go to find that. I really hope you found some of this information useful, and maybe it will help you get a little more organized. If you have any great tips, go ahead and drop them in the comments below, because I'm sure we could put them to use. Well, you guys have a good day.